Hello everyone, I'm Hannah and welcome to my table where I'll be showing you everything we ate for dinner last week. Here's our meal plan for this week and the coming 3 weeks. This week was actually our first week of hardcore meal planning. I'm aiming to plan the whole month in advance in future, but as we just started halfway through the month, I've just got 3 weeks to share with you this time. My husband and I are doing it this way to try and save time and money as we're expecting our first child in a few months. I know there are plenty of other people who make videos like this, but I find them so interesting and they really do vary depending on where the person is from, their budget, if they have children, etc. So hopefully you'll find this video interesting too. So this week we've got a couple of meals from scratch and a couple of what I call freezer meals, meals where most of the components come out of the freezer. I think, like most people, we stocked up on frozen meat and veg when we were going into lockdown because we didn't know what we would be able to get fresh, but our experience was that we were able to get most, if not all, the things we wanted. So we've still got quite a full freezer, which I'm hoping to gradually empty out so that I can fill it with pre-made meals for when the baby arrives. On Monday we had chicken curry, rice and naan bread. I used a jar of curry sauce but bulked the chicken up with some diced peppers, onions and potatoes to make it a bit more interesting and use up some of the veg we had in the fridge. You can see I'm not very good at making rice. In fact, I seem to have just made a mess. We both really enjoyed this and there was enough for some leftovers for lunch the next day. You'll see I'm also cooking some chicken breasts in the slow cooker. I really like doing this as it means I can have ready cooked chicken in the freezer which I can use for sandwiches, stir fries, curries, anything really without having to cut up and cook chicken breasts. I portion it out into sandwich bags and just pop them in the freezer. And the beautiful flowers are courtesy of my mother-in-law. On Tuesday we had chicken pie from the freezer, mashed potatoes and carrots. The only thing here that was fresh was the potato, everything else was from the freezer. I don't make mash very often because I hate peeling potatoes, but it's just as well really as I adore mash and I would just eat a big bowl of it. The chicken pies were Morrison's own brand, chicken and vegetable pies, and they were quite good, although all of the chicken in mine seemed to be in one half. As well as not being very good at making rice, you'll see I'm not very good at making gravy. I know that sounds silly, how can you mess that up? But it always ends up being too thick. On Wednesday we used some of the slow cooker chicken and had it in some pita bread with salad and onion and garlic dip. If you're keeping track, that's 3 chicken meals we've had so far this week and it's only Wednesday. I'm not a huge meat eater and I'm quite bad at buying a pack of chicken and only using part of it, so I'm trying to get better at that and using it up. This is such a good meal if you're hungry, but the kids or the other half aren't as hungry, as it's kind of a help yourself meal and you can have as much or as little as you want. A bit like fajitas, you can just have one if you've had a big lunch like my husband did. I chopped up some salad and put it in a bowl, then while my pitas were toasting I just heated up the chicken in a frying pan. Really easy and quite good for a hot day because there's not too much actual cooking involved. Once again, something went a bit wrong with this meal. My pitas got a bit too crispy. I'm not sure what I did wrong, but they were really difficult to fill. Still delicious though, and the flowers are still doing well. On Thursday, I did something which my husband wishes I did more often, which is make lasagna. I think it's his favourite, but his mum makes an amazing lasagna and it just takes so long, so I never actually make my own. But when we were planning the meals out, it was the one thing that he said he wanted. I had some mince in the freezer and I always have tinned tomatoes or passata in the cupboard, but I added some onion and peppers and half a sachet of bolognese seasoning mix. I made this at lunchtime and left it bubbling away for most of the afternoon. One of the benefits of working from home at the moment is being able to have dinner already on the go. Once hubby was home I made the bechamel sauce and put it all together. I topped the whole thing with some cheddar and a bit of parmesan we had knocking about in the fridge and then served it with some garlic bread slices and salad. We managed to eat half and I put the other half in the freezer to have next week, which hubby is thrilled about because he knows he doesn't have to wait another 6 months to have lasagna again. Friday was supposed to be a freezer meal, but hubby had a big lunch again, so I was the only one eating tonight. I wasn't sure what to have as the meal plan had kind of gone out of the window at this point, but I did have something out of the freezer as we planned, some southern fried chicken strips from Tesco's which are so good. I put a couple of strips chopped up into the one remaining pita from the other night with some salad and cheese, and I cooked some oven chips. I could almost convince myself I was eating a cheeky Nando's. I was a bit frazzled by the time I got to eat it because I was busy making a cake for tomorrow, which you'll see shortly. On Saturday, we had a little gender reveal party for the family. We kept socially distant in the garden and had a barbecue, which you can see here. Burgers, sausages, garlic roast potatoes, salad, rolls, couscous, coleslaw, cheese. As for the gender reveal cake, I think it turned out quite well. It was just a Victoria sponge, but I used food colouring to dye the sponge so the gender was revealed when we sliced into it. And as you can see, we're having a little girl. We ate at lunchtime, so this wasn't technically what we had for dinner, but we were so stuffed we didn't eat anything else that day. On Sunday, we went to hubby's mum to drop off a Father's Day present for his granddad and some gender reveal cupcakes so they could share the news with us. We had salad for lunch, and then when we got home, I just had some barbecue leftovers from the previous day. There's something so comforting about knowing you've got leftovers in the fridge and you don't need to cook when you get in after a long day. So that was dinner this week. I hope you enjoyed seeing what we had. This is my first video, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. I started filming everything on my phone, but then I started using a camera as well towards the end of the week. So if there's a change in quality, that's why. I'm going to continue making videos, even if it's just to try and hold myself accountable to all the meal planning and sticking with it. But let me know if you'd like to see my meal planning process or how I make certain things. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back around the table for dinner next week.